Before I tell you this story, if you're a parent or planning to be one someday, you need to hit that subscribe button right now. What I'm about to share with you could save you from making the most expensive mistake of your life. And I'm not just talking about money. Turn on those notifications because stories like this one could change how you see parenting forever. Trust me, you'll want to stay until the end of this video. Now, let me tell you what happened. They say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I never understood that saying until the day I found 12 unopened iPhone boxes hidden in my daughter's closet, and my entire world collapsed. My name is Folake Adewale. I'm 32 years old, a single mother, and a successful social media influencer in Lagos. 2 years ago, I thought I was being the perfect modern mom, the cool mom, the generous mom, the mom who gave her daughter everything she never had growing up. Today, I'm sitting in a therapist's office every Wednesday, trying to undo the damage my perfect parenting caused. This is the story of how I destroyed my daughter by loving her the wrong way, and the devastating lesson I learned about the difference between providing and spoiling. I had my daughter, Tiniola, when I was 15 years old. Yes, 15. I was a child raising a child. Her father disappeared before she was born, typical Lagos story. My parents were disappointed but supportive. They helped me finish secondary school while they cared for Tenny during the day. Those early years were hard. Really hard. I was wearing borrowed clothes, using free government health care, struggling to buy diapers and formula. I'd watch other teenagers hanging out, going to parties, living carefree lives, while I was home with a crying baby, wondering if I'd ruined my entire future. But I was determined to make something of myself. For Tenny, to show her that being a teenage mother didn't mean your life was over. I finished secondary school. I couldn't afford university, so I took free online courses in digital marketing. I started a small blog about young motherhood, sharing my struggles and tips. It grew slowly at first, then faster. By the time Tenny was 5, I had 10,000 followers. By the time she was 8, I had 100,000. Brands started reaching out. Small gigs at first, review this product, post about this service. Then bigger deals. By the time Tenny turned 12, 3 years ago, I was making serious money. Real money. The kind of money I'd only dreamed about when I was 15 and poor and scared. I moved us from my parents' house in Mushin to our own 3-bedroom apartment in Lekki. I bought nice clothes, ate at good restaurants, sent Tenny to a private school. Everything I never had growing up, I made sure she had. But more than the material things, I wanted to be different from traditional Nigerian parents. I'd grown up with strict rules, corporal punishment, no room for mistakes or self-expression. I'd hated it. I'd promised myself that when I had kids, I'd be different. I'd be the cool mom, the understanding mom, the mom who was more like a best friend than an authority figure. So that's what I tried to be. When Tenny wanted something, I gave it to her. When she made mistakes, I didn't punish her. I communicated with her. When she tested boundaries, I told myself I was giving her freedom to express herself. I was a Gen Z mom, raising a Gen Alpha daughter, and we were going to do things differently. The iPhone situation started innocently enough. Tenny was 14 when the iPhone 13 came out. All her friends at her expensive private school in Lekki had the latest iPhones. She came home from school one day, crying. "Mummy, everyone is laughing at my phone," she sobbed, showing me her perfectly functional iPhone XR that I'd bought her just 8 months earlier. "They say it's old. They say I'm using ancient technology." I'm so embarrassed. My heart broke. I remembered being the poor kid at school, wearing worn clothes while everyone else had new ones. I remembered the shame, the isolation, the feeling of being less than. "Don't cry, baby," I said, pulling her close. "Mummy will get you the new one. The best one. Nobody will laugh at you anymore." 2 days later, I bought her the iPhone 13 Pro Max, the most expensive model. 512 gigabytes. I spent 750,000 naira. My accountant told me it was excessive, that I should set a budget for Tenny's expenses. I ignored him. What did he know about raising a teenage girl in Lagos? Tenny was ecstatic. She hugged me, posted about it on Instagram, showed it off to her friends. For a week, she was the happiest I'd seen her in months. Then, a month later, she came home upset again. "My phone is slow," she complained. "It freezes all the time. I think something's wrong with it." I looked at the phone. It seemed fine to me, but she insisted it was malfunctioning, that it was embarrassing her in front of her friends when it froze during conversations. "Let's take it to get repaired," I suggested. "Mummy, no. It's old already anyway. The iPhone 14 is about to come out. Can I just get that one instead? Everyone's pre-ordering." Something in me hesitated. The phone was barely a month old. But then I looked at her face, so hopeful, so eager. And I remembered being her age, wanting things I could never have, feeling left out and less than. "Okay," I said. "We'll get you the new one when it comes out." The iPhone 14 Pro Max cost me 850,000 naira, a month's rent for most people in Lagos. But I told myself it was fine. I was making good money. My daughter deserved to have what her peers had. I didn't want her to feel inferior or left out. That became the pattern. Every month or two, there was a new reason why Tinny needed a new phone. It fell and had internal damage. It got water damaged. The battery was draining too fast. She lost it and needed a replacement. Someone at school had a newer model, and she was being mocked for having the old one. And every time, I bought her a new one. My friends started commenting on it. Folake, why does Tinny need a new phone every month? That's excessive. I defended my choices. You don't understand. Kids these days, the pressure they're under. I'm just making sure my daughter doesn't feel inferior to her peers. I'm giving her what I never had. My mother was more direct. You're spoiling that girl. You're teaching her that she can have anything she wants without working for it. This won't end well. You're just old-fashioned, Mummy, I said dismissively. This is how modern parents do things. We don't use scarcity and deprivation to teach lessons. We use abundance and generosity. She shook her head, but said nothing more. The truth is, buying Tinny those phones made me feel good. It made me feel like a successful mom. Like I'd overcome my teenage pregnancy and poverty to give my daughter a better life. Every new phone was proof that I'd made it, that I was a good mother, that I was doing better than my parents did. I posted about it sometimes on Instagram. Surprised my baby with a new iPhone today? Nothing's too good for my princess. Crown mobile phone 2 hearts hashtag girl mom, hashtag proud mama, hashtag spoiling my baby. The comments were mixed. Some people praised me for being a generous mom. Others criticized me for spoiling her. I ignored the criticism. What did strangers on the internet know about my relationship with my daughter? The other changes in Tinny's behavior happened gradually, so gradually that I didn't notice them at first. She started talking to me differently. Not disrespectfully, exactly, but there was an edge, an expectation, a sense of entitlement. Mummy, I need money for lunch. How much? 10,000. 10,000 naira? For lunch? That's excessive. I'll give you 3,000. She rolled her eyes. Mummy, 3,000 can't buy anything at my school. Are you trying to embarrass me? I gave her the 10,000. She started comparing me to her friends' parents constantly. Zara's mom bought her a MacBook and an iPad. Why can't I have both? Chisholm's parents are taking her to Dubai for her birthday. Why can't we go? Everybody has a car now. When am I getting mine? I'm almost 16. Every conversation became a negotiation. Every gift became an expectation. Nothing was ever enough. But I told myself it was normal teenage behavior. I told myself I was still the cool mom, the understanding mom. I told myself that being generous was better than being strict. Then came her 16th birthday, 6 months ago. I'd planned a big party, rented a hall, hired a DJ, invited her whole class. I'd spent over 3 million naira on the party. I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted Tinny to feel special, celebrated, loved. The morning of her party, I gave her my gift, the latest iPhone 15 Pro Max, plus diamond earrings I'd saved up for. She opened the boxes, barely glanced at the phone, and said, "This is it? Just a phone and earrings?" Chisholm's parents bought her a car for her 16th. My heart sank. Tinny, I'm throwing you a 3 million naira party today. And that phone cost almost 1 million naira. So, you make money from Instagram. It's not like it's hard work. Chisholm's parents work real jobs and still bought her a car. The disrespect stung, but I swallowed it. We'll talk about a car when you're older and more responsible. She sucked her teeth and walked away with her gifts. No thank you. No hug. Nothing. At her party that evening, I watched her with her friends. They were all on their phones, barely interacting in person, taking selfies, posting on Instagram, checking likes and comments. When it was time to cut the cake, Tinny seemed more interested in getting the perfect video than actually enjoying her moment. Afterward, I overheard her talking to her friends while I was settling the bill with the event planner. "Your mom is so cool," one of her friends said. "She bought you another new iPhone?" Tinny laughed. "She buys me one every month. It's not a big deal. She's desperate to be the cool mom because she had me at 15. She's trying to make up for ruining her life." My blood went cold. "That's harsh," another friend said. "It's true though. She's always trying too hard. Always buying me stuff to make herself feel better about being a teen mom. It's honestly embarrassing." I stood frozen behind a pillar, listening to my daughter mock me to her friends. Mock my generosity. Mock my love. Mock my entire identity as her mother. I wanted to confront her right there, but I couldn't. Not in front of all those people. Not at her party. So I swallowed the pain and finished the evening with a smile on my face. That night, after everyone had gone home, I lay in bed crying. My mother's words echoed in my head. This won't end well. But I still didn't change anything. I told myself Tenny was just being a typical ungrateful teenager, that she didn't mean what she said, that she'd appreciate me when she was older. A month after her birthday, she came home from school upset again. My phone fell and cracked the screen, she said, showing me a phone with a tiny crack in the corner. I need a new one. Something in me finally snapped. Tenny, the screen is barely cracked. We can get it repaired for 20,000 naira instead of buying a new phone for 1 million. She looked at me like I'd suggested she wear rags to school. Are you serious? You want me to use a phone with a cracked screen? Do you know how embarrassing that is? It's a tiny crack. I'm not using it, she shouted. You always do this. You act like you're this generous, cool mom on Instagram, but you're actually stingy. Buy me a new phone, or I'll tell everyone online how cheap you really are. I stared at my daughter. This girl I'd sacrificed everything for, worked 3 jobs for, built a business for, and I didn't recognize her. But I was scared. Scared of her threat. Scared of public embarrassment. Scared of being exposed as a bad mom to my followers. So I bought her another phone. The iPhone 15 Pro Max in a different color this time. 1.2 million naira. She took it without a thank you and went to her room. The breaking point came 2 weeks ago. I was looking for my iPad to post some content, and I remembered Tinny had borrowed it. I went to her room to get it. She was at school. Her room was a mess as usual. Clothes everywhere, makeup scattered, shoes tossed around. I started tidying up a bit while looking for my iPad. That's when I opened her closet and found them. 12 iPhone boxes, stacked neatly in the back corner. Sealed. Unopened. Brand new. I pulled them out with shaking hands. iPhone 14 Pro Max, iPhone 14 Pro, iPhone 13 Pro Max, different colors, different storage sizes. All unopened. All purchased within the last year and a half. I felt like I couldn't breathe. Why would she have unopened phones hidden in her closet? Where were all the phones I'd been buying her for the past 18 months? I sat down on her bed, surrounded by these boxes, trying to make sense of it. Then I saw her iPad on her nightstand. I picked it up, and it opened. She hadn't logged out. I know I shouldn't have looked. I know privacy is important. But something was very wrong, and I needed to understand what was happening. I opened her messages first. Scrolled through conversations with her friends. Normal teenage stuff mostly. Then I saw a group chat called The Hustle. I opened it. My stomach dropped. The messages went back months. Tinny and 4 of her friends, all talking about their hustle, scamming their parents for money and phones. Just told my dad the phone broke again. He's buying me a new one tomorrow. That's 800K. Split 4 ways after we sell it. We each get 200K. My mom bought me the iPhone 15 last week. Already posted it on my burner Instagram. Guy from Abuja is offering 900K. We move. Tinny, your mom is the easiest. Just cry about being embarrassed at school, and she gives you whatever you want. We should do 2 phones this month. And Tinny's response is, I know, right? She's so desperate to be the cool mom. She doesn't even question anything. Easy money. I scrolled further. Screenshots of sales. Bank transfers. Photos of phones being packaged and shipped. They'd been selling the phones I bought. All of them. Every single one. They had a whole operation. Tinny would get the phone from me, post one picture with it on her actual Instagram, then sell it online within days. She'd keep her old phone and tell me the new one was broken or stolen or whatever lie would get me to buy another one. The unopened boxes in her closet? Those were the ones she hadn't sold yet. Inventory waiting for buyers. Over 18 months, I'd bought my daughter approximately 20 phones. At an average of 900,000 naira each, that was 18 million naira. 18 million naira. Gone. Scammed. By my own daughter. I sat there in her room, surrounded by evidence of her betrayal, and something inside me shattered. This wasn't about the money. I'd made the money back. I could make more. This was about the fact that my daughter had looked at my love and seen weakness. Had looked at my generosity and seen an opportunity. Had looked at me and seen a mark to be scammed. When Tenny came home from school that afternoon, I was sitting in the living room, the 12 iPhone boxes stacked on the coffee table in front of me. She walked in, saw them, and her face went pale. Sit down, I said quietly. She sat. I found your messages, I said. I know everything. The phones, the scam, the group chat, all of it. Silence. She didn't even try to deny it. How could you? My voice cracked. I gave you everything. Everything I never had. I worked myself to exhaustion so you could have a better life than I did. And you scammed me? You and your friends laughed about how easy it was to manipulate me. Tenny looked at the floor. You don't understand. What don't I understand? Explain it to me. Explain how stealing 18 million naira from your mother is understandable. You were always going to give me the money anyway, she burst out. You throw money at everything. You use money to make up for being a teen mom, for not being there emotionally, for trying to be my friend instead of my parent. At least this way, I got to use the money how I wanted instead of having another phone I didn't need. Her words hit like physical blows. Is that what you think? That I'm trying to buy your love? That I'm not emotionally present? You're always working, always on your phone creating content, always more worried about your followers than about actually talking to me. The only time you pay attention to me is when you're buying me something or posting about being girl mom goals on Instagram. I opened my mouth to argue, but the words died in my throat. Because somewhere deep down, I knew she wasn't entirely wrong. I had been using material things as a substitute for real connection. I had been so focused on giving her everything I never had that I forgot to give her what actually mattered: boundaries, discipline, real presence, authentic relationship. I'd been so scared of being the strict, distant parent I'd had that I'd become no parent at all. I'd been her ATM, her friend, her content prop, but I hadn't been her mother. You're right, I said quietly. I wasn't there emotionally. I was trying so hard to be different from my parents that I forgot to actually parent you. I was so desperate to be the cool mom that I let you walk all over me. I gave you everything except what you actually needed: structure, boundaries, consequences, real guidance. Tenny looked up, surprised. I think she'd expected me to yell, to punish, to rage. But I was too heartbroken to be angry. But Tenny, that doesn't excuse what you did. Scamming your own mother? Planning it with your friends? Laughing about how easy I was to manipulate? That's cruel. That's sociopathic behavior. And I enabled it by never teaching you that actions have consequences. So what are you going to do? She asked, her voice small. I'm going to be your mother, I said. For the first time in years, I'm actually going to parent you. Over the next week, everything changed. I took away all of Tenny's phones, every single one. She kept one basic Nokia for emergencies only. No iPhone. No social media. No games. I canceled her bank card. No more unlimited access to money. She got a small weekly allowance, 5,000 naira, and had to account for every kobo. I pulled her out of that expensive Lekki school where her friends were teaching her to scam people. She's now enrolled in a good but modest school in Acacia. No designer bag kids. No showing off. Just normal teenagers getting an education. I stopped posting about her on Instagram. No more girl mom content. No more showing off my perfect relationship with my daughter. Our relationship wasn't perfect. It was broken, and we needed to fix it privately, not perform it publicly. I started family therapy. For both of us. Because I needed to understand where I went wrong, and she needed to understand the impact of her actions. And most importantly, I stopped trying to be her friend. I started being her mother. Setting boundaries. Saying no. Letting her be disappointed. Teaching her that love isn't about giving someone everything they want. It's about giving them what they need, even when they hate you for it. The first month was hell. Tenny was furious. She screamed, cried, said I was ruining her life, accused me of being a bad mother, threatened to go live with my parents. Go ahead, I said calmly. Call your grandmother. Tell her how your mean mother won't buy you a new iPhone every month anymore. See what she says. She didn't call, because she knew exactly what my mother would say. The second month was harder. She tried manipulation. Tears, apologies, promises to change if I'd just give her back her iPhone. I've learned my lesson, Mummy. Please. I promise I'll be good. I held firm. This isn't punishment, Tenny. This is parenting. I should have done this years ago. Now, 2 months in, something's starting to shift. Tenny is angrier with me than she's ever been. But she's also starting to understand consequences. Starting to understand that she can't manipulate her way through life. Starting to understand the value of money because she has to budget her small allowance. Last week, she came home from her new school and told me about a girl in her class who can't afford the textbooks. Her family is struggling, Tenny said. The school has a second-hand book program, but even that's expensive for them. That's sad, I said, waiting to see where this was going. I was thinking, I have money saved from my allowance. Not much, but maybe 50,000 naira. Could I use it to buy her some books? I looked at my daughter, really looked at her, and saw something I hadn't seen in years. Empathy. Awareness of people beyond herself. Generosity that wasn't performative. That's very kind of you, Tenny, I said carefully. But 50,000 is a lot of money. Are you sure? Yeah. I mean, I know what it's like to have nothing now. This past month with no phone, no social media, having to budget my 5,000 naira per week, it's shown me how privileged I was. That girl's family can't even afford books. The least I can do is help. I hugged her then, and for the first time in months, she hugged me back. We're not fixed. Not even close. The damage from years of spoiling and entitlement doesn't heal in 2 months. Tenny still has moments where she's bratty and entitled. I still have moments where I want to give in, want to buy her something to make her happy, want to be the cool mom again. But we're working on it. Together. with our therapist's help. And I'm learning that being a good mother isn't about giving your child everything. It's about preparing them for a world that will give them nothing. It's about teaching them resilience, not rescuing them from every difficulty. It's about building character, not buying compliance. It's about real connection, not material compensation. I look back at all those iPhones, 18 million naira worth of phones bought to prove I was a good mom. And I realize I was proving the exact opposite. I was proving I didn't know the difference between providing and spoiling, between generosity and enabling, between love and indulgence. Being a Gen Z mom, I thought I was being progressive, breaking generational trauma, doing better than my strict parents did, creating a friendship with my daughter instead of a fearful hierarchy. But I took it too far, way too far. I confused love with stuff. I confused parenting with purchasing. I confused being emotionally available with being financially unlimited. And my daughter paid the price. She learned that people were marks to manipulate, that tears were tools for getting what you wanted, that love was transactional, that she didn't have to work for anything or value anything because everything came easily. Those lessons could have ruined her life. And they almost did. The 12 unopened iPhones are still in my closet. I haven't sold them yet. They're like a monument to my failure, a reminder of what happens when you parent from guilt and fear instead of wisdom and strength. Sometimes I look at them and think about the life I thought I was giving Tenny, one without struggle, without lack, without pain. I thought I was being a good mother by making sure she never felt what I felt growing up. But I was actually doing her a disservice. Because struggle builds character. Lack builds appreciation. Pain builds resilience. By protecting her from all of that, I was actually crippling her. My mother was right. She was right about everything. The old-fashioned way, boundaries, consequences, discipline, actual parenting, wasn't wrong just because it wasn't trendy. The modern way, being your kid's friend, giving them everything, avoiding conflict, wasn't right just because it was popular on Instagram. Good parenting isn't about being old-fashioned or modern. It's about raising a human being who can function in the world, who understands that actions have consequences, who knows the value of work and money, who can delay gratification, who treats people with respect and empathy. I failed at all of that because I was so desperate to be different from my parents that I forgot to actually parent. If you're watching this as a young mother, as someone trying to do better than your parents did, as someone who wants to be the cool parent, please learn from my mistake. Give your kids what they need, not everything they want. Set boundaries, even when they hate you for it. Say no, especially when it's hard. Teach them the value of money by not giving them unlimited access to it. Show them real love, which sometimes looks like discipline and consequences, not just gifts and indulgence. Be their parent first, their friend second, maybe third. Don't use material things to compensate for emotional availability. They need your presence more than your presence. And for God's sake, don't let social media pressure you into performing perfect parenting for strangers online. Real parenting is messy and hard and private. It's not content. It's not aesthetic. It's work. I'm 32 years old, and I'm learning how to be a mother for the first time. Really be one. Not the Instagram version. Not the cool version. The real version that says no and sets boundaries and lets their child be disappointed because that's what will actually help them become a functional adult. It's hard. It's so hard. Especially after years of doing it wrong. But I'm doing it. Because I love my daughter. Really love her. Not Instagram love. Not transactional love. Real love that wants what's best for her, even when she can't see it yet. The Gen Z mom who spoiled her daughter with monthly iPhones learned the hardest lesson of her life. And I'm sharing it with you, hoping you won't have to learn it the same painful way. If this resonated with you, if you're struggling with the balance between generosity and spoiling, between modern parenting and actual parenting, please subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell because I'll be sharing more about this journey, the real, messy, unglamorous journey of learning to parent with wisdom instead of guilt. Drop a comment below and tell me, are you a parent struggling with similar issues? Are you a young person who was raised like Tenny? What's your experience? Let's have a real conversation about this. Share this with a parent who needs to hear it. Share it with a young person who's struggling with entitlement. Share it with anyone who needs a reminder that real love sometimes looks like disappointing someone for their own good. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to my story without judgment. Thank you for letting me be honest about my failures as a mother in hopes that it helps someone else avoid the same mistakes. Remember, giving your child everything doesn't make you a good parent. Teaching them to value things, work for things, and appreciate things, that's what makes you a good parent. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is let them hear the word no. Until next time, stay strong, stay real, and remember that perfect parenting doesn't exist, but intentional parenting does. And that's what I'm learning to do, one difficult day at a time.